Hey guys, it's Brad from Carolina Boat Yacht Brokers. If you follow us on social media, you probably saw a post from us last night with a picture of my lure bucket. I was doing some rigging on my offshore trolling gear, getting ready for our upcoming season. The spring fishing season here in North Carolina is coming up pretty quick. We normally get started early April and we're in full swing come May. I was working on getting some lures put together, some rigs made, just to be ready when the fish show up and when it's time to go. Hopefully we'll have some good weather and be able to fish. If you don't know too much about offshore fishing or offshore trolling techniques, this might be a good video for you. If you're an experienced offshore fisherman, you probably know all this already, and this might not be for you. But anyway, I'm going to talk about a few of my favorite things that I like to have in my trolling spread. My personal boat that I fish is a 25-foot Sea Fox 256 Commander. It's a twin outboard boat with 15-foot taco outriggers. My typical trolling spread is 2 lines off each outrigger, so long riggers, short riggers, 2 flat lines off the corners of my boat, and then I'll usually shotgun something way back down the middle. And so I've got some lures here that I will kind of show you guys, talk about how I like to make them, where I like to run them, kind of the ins and outs of what I catch on them. The first thing I'm going to show you guys is called an Islander. An Islander is basically a ballyhoo rig with this large weighted bullet head on the front and a nice colorized skirt. So the Islander itself is basically the skirt and the bullet head, and then we make the rest of the rig ourselves. You buy the Islander head separately and then you build the rig. I build basically all my rigs. I use 100-pound leader material. For this particular rig, the ballyhoo pin rig, I guess is what a lot of guys call it. If I get the skirt out of the way, I'll show you. Basically, start with a 7.0 J hook. These are Mustad. Mustad O'Shaughnessy 7.0 size. It's 3407 is the model number, I guess. That's what I use almost exclusively. You assemble this with I believe that's a 3/8 ounce egg sinker. Basically assemble all this with your crimp. There's a little piece of wire here you want to put into your crimp to stick up. That's what you're gonna basically poke through the beak of your ballyhoo. This hook will get fed inside the gill plate. You'll feed it down the ballyhoo. This should poke out directly out his belly center line. You want to make sure it's perfect. If it's not just center, it's going to spin. It's going to look like crap in the water. It's not really going to catch any fish. We use these kind of spring deals. Once you get the ballyhoo on, you put that wire up through his nose, and then you basically spin this little spring looking deal on to hold everything in place. And then you've got your rig. Islander goes over the top, and it basically has a nice big skirt, big weight, so it trolls nicely. You got your ballyhoo with the hook coming out the bottom and behind it, sort of like this. A lot of guys like Islanders, really popular in our area, especially. Usually pull this off the outriggers. A lot of times I'll pull this off one of my long riggers. You can probably pull it off the flat line too. I usually have some bigger stuff on my flat lines, but that is an Islander rig. One of our other popular uh, offshore lures. And I guess I should say on your islanders, you can catch mahi probably more than anything, tuna, especially wahoo. If you're going to troll specifically for wahoo, you want to put a little bit of wire into the eye of your hook and crimp that all together, kind of to wahoo proof the rig, because of the teeth, they can break you off pretty easily. This is a little different setup. This is a Moldcraft. I believe this is the junior wide range. Wide range comes in like 3 sizes, I think. For my size boat and not wanting to get spoiled by a sea monster, I would pull just a junior wide range. I've got this is on, I think this came on a Black Bart, or I put it on a Black Bart stiff rig. I think this is 300-pound leader. Big hefty crimp that came from Black Bart. And then this is the color that I like. This is a 2-part kind of Moldcraft lure. We got a black head, green skirt. Probably have a few guys mad at me for letting that secret out, but this has been a very, 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 very successful color combination for us over the years. Not on my boat till now. Hopefully this will work for us, but some guys I know well have had a lot of success with this. I think this comes rigged with an 8.0 hook on a stiff rig, so you'll see this is a pretty hefty cable here. We got electrical tape at the kind of at the connections, shrink wrapped here from the cable to the eye of the hook. Definitely want to take your hook sleeve off before you troll this guy if you actually want to hook up. But that is basically our Moldcraft wide range stiff rig. So you'll see they call this a stiff rig. It's a wire. It's fairly stiff and rigid. This you could probably troll from a lot of different places. I imagine it would be successful on one of your flat lines. I am probably going to try it on my right long, is where I'm wanting to see this work when I make my first trip. Kind of my guess here, big mahi should inhale this. Maybe even get a billfish. That's kind of my goal. I'm hoping to catch a billfish from my personal boat this year. It's kind of the goal for this. Single hook set is a big deal. Stiff rigs come in double hook sets. If you don't want to kill the fish, don't use a double hook set, because odds are if you're using a double hook set, he's going to eat both hooks. You're not going to be able to get it out. That fish better be coming home with you. I'm not trying to go kill a marlin on my own boat. So single hook set, so you can get a clean release if you want to release that fish alive. So Moldcraft Junior Wide Range. Now, the next thing I'm a real big fan of pulling are kind of a locally made, I guess you'd call this a plug. It's a trolling lure. These are called Monkalurs. They're made right here in North Carolina by the family of a guy named Monk, who I think fished a lot in Morehead City, probably back in the 80s and 90s, maybe even before then if I remember correctly. But Monkalurs are made by his family right here in North Carolina. It's kind of like a hard plastic plug with a skirt on it. Rubber skirt, kind of a real blunt angle on the face of this. I have pulled these for I think 2 seasons now. A good buddy of mine, Jay Thomason, turned me onto these years ago when I was first getting into offshore fishing. Jay told me then, if anyone ever invites you to go offshore with them, ask them if they have a Monkalur. If they say they do not have a Monkalur, politely decline their invitation to go. I've been sold on these ever since that day. I never go offshore without them. I usually have at least probably 2 in my spread at most times. I've caught nice mahi, I've caught tuna, I've caught a wahoo off of Monkalur. Usually, again, I typically pull these off either my long or short riggers. I haven't really tried them in the flat. I don't think they have quite enough size for that. I also occasionally will put one back on my shotgun. The wahoo that I've caught on a Monkalur, oddly enough, I think came on this color combination. And it was in the shotgun, actually behind a bird chain. And it was a nice fish. We got him to the boat, and he went home with us. I think that came off the pink and blue. I also think I broke off a sailfish on pink and blue last year. So I've caught, or at least hooked up 4 species off of Monkalur. I love them. They swim well. They look great. And it's a really simple rig to put together. So this is 100-pound leader. I've got my 7.0 hook. For these, the Monkalur guys actually told me this to keep the eye of your hook from going up into the lure. Put a couple tri-beads on there. I think 2 kind of gives me the spacing that I like to see. You've got just enough hook, out there behind the skirt. And just I think the crimps I'm using on these are I think they're 1.3 size. So get you a set of crimpers, 1.3 crimps, and there you go. Monkalur, pretty simple. Like I said, I've caught mahi, tuna, wahoo. Pretty darn sure I broke off a sail last year. It was way, way back. We had another mahi hooked. By the time we got the mahi in, the other fish was gone. We saw it jump a few times. Had to be a sail. So anyway, 3 colors. I think I've just got 3 colors right now. The Monkalur. This is a really good color for me. I really like it. It's kind of green and blue, sort of a mahi color. Mahi will eat their own. So it's a little baby mahi right there, ready to get gobbled up. Pink and blue, again, I think I've caught wahoo. I think I broke off a sail. I've caught tuna. Good color. Don't think I had this purple color last year. I think this is one I bought at the saltwater fishing show recently. We're going to try this purple. To me, this looks like a good wahoo color. I should probably go back and put some wire in the eye of the hook and my crimp. Try to wahoo proof this before I pull it. But anyway, Monkalurs, don't leave home without them. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is kind of a little different. This is what we call, a lot of guys call it a cowbell. I think this particular model, they call it a dinner bell. This is from Big Nick Fishing. It's another locally owned North Carolina business. I would definitely recommend checking them out. They make great material. And this is his dinner bell. This is a wahoo high-speed trolling lure. This is the 17-ounce version. I think it also comes in a 32-ounce. They're handmade by Big Nick. You got kind of this rattling mechanism on the head as you troll this through the water. Probably, I think you can troll these up to like 17 or 18 knots, something like that, something crazy. This rattles. This also, water rushes through that head, puts out a nice bubble trail of smoke behind it. This is rigged on the business end. You've got cable here, 2 crimps, you got some spacer beads, and then that's probably a 10-aught hook, I'd say. But, if something straightens that out on you, you really had a fish on. That should do the job for most anything you're going to catch on this. You're going to want something really hefty to pull this behind. I would say an 80 wide is kind of your go-to. I pull this from my Pin 80 VSW, I guess it is. So that goes in my right corner. And I think when I've pulled this, I've used it from my planing rod. So a kind of short planing rod with the swivel rod tip on it on an 80 wide, pulling that behind it. I think you can pull this anywhere from maybe 8 knots on up to 16 or 17. You can read some more about it. I just got this last year. I've only pulled it a couple times. I've yet to hook up with it. I'm told when you hook up with a dinner bell or a cowbell, it is like a car crash, and it's a sight to behold. But this is a Wahoo lure. Like I said, I put this in my right flat line in the corner and kind of pull it not too far behind the boat. But here you go. That's the dinner bell from Big Nick Fishing. So that's kind of a good look at what we pull. The one thing I didn't have rigged was just a standard sea witch. This would be a sea witch here. Rig it very similar to your Islander. Instead of the Islander head, you have the sea witch head. It's just smaller. The head on it's smaller. Size of the skirt's a little smaller, but it pulls a lot like this. Same thing, ballyhoo rig. So you got your ballyhoo pin rig back here. That's a sea witch. I just didn't have it rigged up. But anyway, that is what I like to pull. We fish primarily out of Morehead City, Beaufort Inlet. I fish the Gulf Stream, usually somewhere out around the Big Rock, because that's what I know. But you know, we're usually fishing somewhere around the Big Rock, maybe Swansboro Hole area, in the Gulf Stream off the coast of North Carolina. If you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. If I don't have the answer, I'll go to one of my good friends who is a little more knowledgeable than I am, and we'll be happy to help you out. If you need a boat to get into that offshore Gulf Stream bite, hit us up, CarolinaBoatYachtBrokers.com. You can give me a call at 919-650-9418, or you can come by our office here in Clayton, North Carolina. The address is 13,500 U.S. Business Highway 70 West here in Clayton. Thanks for watching. Hopefully there's some good, useful information here. And check back with us again. Let us know how you like the video. Thanks.